we recording? Yes, we are. Okay, am I all set? I guess I am. Okay, hello guys. My name is Fatimah, and I invite you to be my friend for the next 10 minutes or so. I'm going to be telling you a story about a certain period of my life that has been very pivotal. I say pivotal because it has shaped me into who I am today, and it has also brought me here, like literally where I am standing today. Okay, so let's go. This began some 10 years ago. It was in the morning. I was getting ready for school. I was attending the university back in my country, and my mom came into the bedroom and says, Fatima, just hold on. Something bad has happened. What has happened? And she tells me a cousin of mine had been killed brutally in front of his wife and newborn baby. It was very horrible. I was devastated, to say the least. I had questions, but ultimately I felt very angry because things like this had been happening persistently for very many years. And if you're familiar with a lot of the incessant ethno-religious conflicts in north central Nigeria, you would have an understanding of how ongoing this has been. So I was angry, and I needed to channel my anger somewhere. I needed to do something about it. So I told my mom a few days later that I was leaving. I was leaving home for a couple of weeks. I was going to go to these communities where these violences, all this evil had been happening. And of course she was very concerned for my safety. I was a teenager, I was female, and I was going alone. I wasn't even going armed. I only had my camera, which I needed to use because I wanted to capture everything. I wanted to capture my experiences. I needed to understand why these people were doing what they were doing. I needed to understand how these people were so evil. Are they evil? If they are, why? I needed to understand all of it. So I needed to go there with my camera because I needed to capture stories because I love telling stories. And so I convinced my mother to let me, and she prayed to God, and she blessed me, and off I went. The first few days saw me in a beautiful community called Kwakwi, and I was there for a couple of days. The people were very welcoming. They taught me how to cook their local delicacies. They were very kind. Of course, they were interested in what I was doing, and I told them what my motivations were and what my expectations were. And like essentially I didn't have any expectations really, but I just told them I wanted to capture stories, and they were very willing to tell me stories about their lives, stories about their communities, and of course the very bad side of what they've been going through, the attacks, and showed me pictures of people who had died because this community, the first community I went to, was one of the communities on the receiving ends of these attacks. So when it was time for me to leave, I bid them goodbye, and I told them I was headed to the next community, which had been rumored to be where a lot of these perpetrators had been alleged to come from. So I told them I was going there, and it was really sad because they thought I was going to die. They bade me goodbye. They gave me food. They gave me their traditional drink, which is called kunu. And they also gave me traditional blankets. I don't know, I think to wish me good luck or also to keep me warm. I'm not quite sure now. So I took all these beautiful things they gave to me, and I bid them goodbye. And so after walking for a couple of days, I arrived in this feared community. It's a community of cattle rearers. We call them Fulanese, actually the Fulanese. They're nomadic herdsmen. And when I arrived, there were lots of cattle. So usually you have like a flock of cattle, and you see the shepherd, the herdsman, just somewhere sitting down or doing something, but he's usually holding a stick to control the cattle. And so I approached him, and I I introduced myself and I told him what I was there to do. And he seemed a bit concerned. He was looking at my tripod stand, and of course, you know how a tripod stand is when it's what is the word, when it's collapsed. Yeah, I think that's the word. When it's collapsed and it's in its bag, it looks like a rifle actually. So I think he was a bit concerned, but I explained to him that this is just a tripod stand and I'm just going to be with my camera and I just want to talk to you guys. I want you to tell me about your life. These are my motives. And he seemed pretty interested, and he said, oh, that's actually a very good idea. And he was going to talk to the other members of the community, and I should return the next day, the same time, and I'll meet them there. I was a bit concerned, but I thought, I mean, it makes logical sense. You would have to speak to the community and tell them what I'm there for before they allow me into the community. I didn't experience that in all the other communities that I had been to before that one, but I agreed. And so I went back to the neighboring community which I had come from, and I told them I'll just be there for a night more because the other community needs to prepare for me. So the next day I got back to the same spot where I met the young boy or the young man. But I saw the cattle there. The cattle were there just as I had seen them the day before. Excuse me. But there was nobody there. I forgot to mention that the previous day, if you're familiar, you can Google that probably. During the Harmattan in north central Nigeria, there are lots of shrubs because it's dry, dusty. The grasses are not green anymore, they're brown. The very little trees called shrubs are also brown. There's very few green leaves on them. So there were shrubs. The previous day I noticed the shrubs because sometimes the cattle they pick up the very few green leaves there as food. But the next day the shrubs looked a bit different. I didn't understand why the shrubs looked different, but I just ignored it. So I was there with my tripod stand and my camera. I waited a while and I didn't see anyone. So I thought, anyways, it's fine. I'll just set up my tripod stand just to capture the cattle while they feed. And I thought it was very odd again because the little I know about Fulanis, they would never leave their cattle unattended to. So I took out my camera and set up the tripod stand. The previous day, of course, I just told them it was a tripod stand. They didn't know what was inside. So I was setting up. I noticed movements in the shrubs, and I was a bit concerned because, of course, I'm a girl, I'm a lady. There's nobody here with me. Oh, like, Lord, my life is in your hand. But I just ignored. I didn't want to sound like I was alarmed. So I just set up, and so I opened it up, set it up with my camera. Everything was there, and while that was happening, I saw that the shrubs, pots or a lot of branches from the shrubs were moving and coming towards me. So I turned and I looked, and I saw that these people were camouflaged actually in the shrubs. They had grass, hay, and all of that attached to them, and they had spears in the boots, the legs. I don't know how they attached the spears there. And they were like, Ekinzo. I said, Ina, so that's your hair. I said, yes, I'm here, just as I promised. And they said, oh, okay. We were just a bit concerned. We thought you were going to come with a group of people. I was like, no, I'm alone. I told you what my intentions are. They were like, oh, okay, it's fine. So he just put his hand in his mouth and made a sound. I can't do that sound. I don't know how to do it, but it really sounded really loud. And as soon as he did that, a lot of them were coming out from the shrubs, and they came and they said they're sorry. That's what usually they do, just to protect themselves, because they know how things are very tense now, so they just needed to protect themselves. But they see now that this is not a gun. They thought it was a gun and everything. So we got past that. They took me to the village head and introduced me and everything I was there for. I think they had never seen a camera before. I did a short recording and I did a playback, and they saw it and they were very amazed. And I was there I planned to be there for 4 days, but I was there for like a whole week. I learned so much. They taught me how to extract milk, to milk the cows, how to make cheese, traditional cheese. They taught, in fact, the craziest thing I had to do, I actually saw that they drink the milk from the cattle, the udder, that's the breasts of the cattle, the cow. I actually did that myself. I have a picture actually of that. So I understood that these people were really not violent people. They're just victims of, circumstances. And I understood that, yeah, there may be a few bad eggs, but ultimately they're human beings, cultural people, and I learned to embrace the differences that exist. And my time in that community actually shaped me into understanding that you do not define a people into box or categories. The world is diverse, people are diverse. There are a few bad people, but they really do not represent the majority of people. So yeah, that's my story, and thank you for listening. Bye bye.